The greatest war in Greek mythology wasn't fought by mortals. It wasn't fought by heroes. It wasn't even fought by gods. It was fought for the fate of the entire world. On one side stood the Titans, the most powerful beings to ever exist. On the other stood three brothers, and only one side would survive. The Titans were not gods. They were something far more terrifying. They ruled the world with absolute power. No army could challenge them. No force could stop them. And for thousands of years, they believed their reign would never end. At the center of that empire stood Kronos, the king of the Titans, a ruler feared by gods and monsters alike. But despite all his power, Kronos lived in fear because of a prophecy that said one of his own children would overthrow him, just as he had overthrown his own father. Most rulers fear rebellion. Kronos feared something far worse: his own children. The prophecy was simple. One day, a child of Kronos would overthrow him, just as he had overthrown his own father. And the more Kronos thought about that prophecy, the more terrified he became. When his first child was born, he made a choice. A terrible choice. He swallowed the child whole. Then another, and another. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon. One by one, his children disappeared into the darkness. Kronos believed he had defeated destiny. He believed the prophecy could never come true. But destiny has a way of finding those who try to escape it. And when his sixth child was born, everything changed. For years, fate had failed. Every child of Kronos had been swallowed. Every threat had been eliminated. Every prophecy had been denied. Then a sixth child was born. And for the first time, Kronos made a mistake. His wife, Rhea, refused to lose another child. Instead of handing over their newborn son, she gave Kronos a stone wrapped in cloth. Blinded by fear and pride, Kronos swallowed it without question. And so, the child who would end the reign of the Titans survived. Hidden from the eyes of the Titans, Zeus grew stronger each year. And while Kronos believed he had escaped fate, fate was preparing its revenge. As Zeus grew older, so did his strength. Far from the reach of the Titans, he had survived. But survival was never enough. The prophecy had not chosen Zeus to hide. It had chosen him to fight. When the time was right, Zeus returned. Not as a child, not as a fugitive, but as a challenger. He knew that defeating Kronos would be impossible alone. So his first mission was clear: free his brothers and sisters, the children Kronos had swallowed so many years before. Using a powerful potion, Zeus forced Kronos to release them. One by one, they emerged: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon. For the first time in their lives, the children of Kronos stood together. And together, they prepared for war. The children of Kronos were finally free. But freedom was only the beginning. To fulfill the prophecy, Zeus and his siblings would have to do the impossible: defeat the Titans, the most powerful beings the world had ever known. And so war began. A war unlike anything Greek mythology had ever seen. The Titans fought with overwhelming strength. They had ruled the world for thousands of years. They were larger, stronger, and far more experienced than the young gods who challenged them. Year after year, the conflict raged on. Neither side could claim victory. Neither side would surrender. For 10 long years, the world itself became a battlefield. Mountains shook, the earth trembled, and the sky burned with the fury of war. It seemed the conflict would never end. But Zeus was about to make a decision that would change everything. After 10 years of war, neither side could win. The Titans were simply too powerful. But deep beneath the world, imprisoned within the darkness of Tartarus, were beings the Titans feared: the Cyclopes and the hundred-handed ones. Long ago, they had been cast aside and forgotten. Now, Zeus saw an opportunity. He descended into Tartarus and set them free. Grateful for their freedom, the Cyclopes offered gifts unlike anything the world had ever seen. To Zeus, they gave the Thunderbolt, a weapon capable of shaking the heavens themselves. To Poseidon, they gave the Trident, a weapon that could command the seas and shatter the earth. And to Hades, they gave the Helm of Darkness, a legendary helmet that made its wearer invisible. For the first time, The young gods possessed weapons worthy of challenging the Titans. And with these divine gifts in their hands, the balance of the war began to change. Armed with their new weapons, the gods returned to the battlefield. And for the first time in 10 years, the Titans began to lose ground. Zeus unleashed the power of the Thunderbolt. Lightning tore through the sky. Mountains shattered beneath the force of the war. Poseidon struck the earth with his trident. The seas rose, the ground cracked, and chaos spread across the world. Meanwhile, Hades moved unseen through the battlefield. Hidden by the helm of darkness, he struck where the Titans least expected. The war that had once seemed endless was finally turning. And then came the final battle, with the Cyclopes and the hundred-handed ones fighting beside them. The gods launched their greatest assault. The Titans could not withstand it. One by one, they fell. Their empire collapsed. Their reign was over. The victors showed no mercy. Most of the Titans were imprisoned within Tartarus, condemned to remain there for eternity. But Atlas received a different punishment, a punishment that would become legend. He was forced to carry the heavens upon his shoulders. Forever, after thousands of years, the Age of Titans had come to an end. The war was over. The Titans had fallen. And for the first time in ages, the world stood without a ruler. Victory belonged to the three brothers. But a new question remained. Who would rule what came next? Rather than fight among themselves, the brothers chose a different path. They drew lots, and fate made its final decision. Zeus became ruler of the sky, Poseidon claimed the seas, and Hades inherited the underworld. Together, they divided the cosmos and established a new order. The Age of Titans was over. The Age of Olympus had begun. For generations, people would remember the names of Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. But few would ever forget the war that made their reign possible. A war that changed the fate of the world forever. The Titans believed their power would last forever. They were wrong, because no empire is truly invincible. And sometimes, the greatest forces in history can be brought down by those no one expects.